Cartels are now officially in the Pentagon's crosshairs. And it's not just the wall anymore. Trump ordered the kill shot.
We're talking about sending military forces to fight against the drug cartels in Latin America. Do you think it's worth sending our forces, our U.S. forces there to take this on?
Cartels where?
Yes, but it has nothing to do with Mexican territory. It has to do with their country. It does not involve our territory.
So it would be within the United States?
Within the United States, exactly.
Just 7 miles from American homes near El Paso, a cartel built a fortress guarded by 130 mercenaries, 6-barreled guns spitting 3,000 rounds a minute, and over 180 innocent hostages locked inside. Why would the U.S. authorize a high-risk assault instead of a missile strike? Because one mistake could kill hundreds. And yet, SEALs still had to neutralize a convoy carrying nearly 700,000 pounds of chemical precursors worth billions. So how do you dismantle a moving fortress without destroying the very civilians you're ordered to save? That's the story we're about to break down.
We're talking about sending military forces to fight against the drug cartels in Latin America. Do you think it's worth sending our forces, our U.S. forces there to take this on?
Cartels where?
Central Latin America.
Well, Latin America's got a lot of cartels. They've got a lot of drugs flowing, so we want to protect our country. We have to protect our country. We haven't been doing it for 4 years, and we love this country like they love their countries. We have to protect our country. So, we're playing a tough game.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. Imagine a mobile chemical plant worth $5 billion rolling just 7 miles from American suburbs, its engines rumbling like a slow-moving invasion. This was not a tale of distant battlefields or jungles in foreign lands. It was happening in broad daylight on Mexican highways cutting close to the U.S. border. The convoy that carried this hidden factory consisted of 25 armored trucks, steel reinforced from top to bottom, escorting nearly 100,000 pounds of raw chemical precursors.
Cartels are now officially in the Pentagon's crosshairs. And it's not just the wall anymore. Trump ordered the kill shot. El Presidente doesn't comprehende. This isn't a Mexican standoff, this is an order. The CIA is already flying surveillance drones over Mexican territory, gathering intel on the battle space. No.
Yes, but it has nothing to do with Mexican territory. It has to do with their country. It does not involve our territory.
So it would be within the United States?
Within the United States, exactly.
Those ingredients weren't industrial cargo bound for legitimate use. They were the backbone of massive narcotics production, the kind of tonnage that could flood whole states with synthetic drugs for months. Driving them was only half the story. Protecting them were 130 cartel-paid mercenaries, all of them battle-tested, trained with military-grade weapons, and ready to fight to the last bullet. Every truck in the column had its own arsenal. Mounted on the flatbeds were 6-barreled rotary guns capable of spraying 3,000 bullets per minute, the kind of firepower used for anti-aircraft missions. That meant one truck alone could cut through a platoon of soldiers, but 25 working together made it something far more sinister. Officers studying drone footage later compared the convoy less to a criminal gang on the move and more to a rolling fortress, a mobile base crawling with firepower, fuel, supplies, and high-grade armor. The sound of those rotary barrels spinning up was often enough to clear entire villages in fear, and this time they were heading north, their destination dangerously clear. Satellite surveillance traced the vehicles to an unfinished compound just outside El Paso. Drywall skeletons of abandoned warehouses, standing only 4 miles from school zones and family neighborhoods. Cartel crews had worked in secret, turning the complex into a staging facility. Bulletproof doors welded into loading docks, blast-proof bunkers sunk under plain concrete foundations. Inside, intelligence reported hundreds of kidnapped civilians locked in cages, useful not only as leverage, but also as living shields in case of attack. That horrifying factor shaped every single decision coming out of the American command room. A missile strike would wipe the site clean, destroying weapons, trucks, and chemicals in one violent blaze. but it would also slaughter innocent people trapped inside. Commanders had to admit the truth. Brute force was not an option. The staggering black market profit of those chemicals loomed like a second dagger. A single shipment of precursor powder could be transformed into millions of pills, each one sold at a margin that dwarfed legitimate trades. By comparison, the hostages inside meant nothing to the cartel except as protective statistics. It was a cruel equation. The longer the trucks roamed free, the greater the cartel's prize. The longer the raid was delayed, the greater the risk that ordinary families on the U.S. side would soon find themselves inhaling the fallout of a billion-dollar drug line. If that convoy crossed into the compound and began full-scale production, entire border towns could turn into strongholds overnight. Cartel banners would fly only a stone's throw away from American homes, and thousands of lives would sit under the threat of artillery-sized weapons and rivers of drugs pouring north. That reality defined the stakes. Time was not luxury but liability. Something had to intercept the convoy before the walls went up and the guns turned outwards. Enter a strategy unlike anything usually seen in border conflicts. Rather than hammering the fortress with rockets, planners organized a strike force of 350 Navy SEALs, supported by 95 drones. They were not pieces of random firepower unleashed all at once. Command described them instead like chess pieces, repositioned constantly on the board, each move coordinated so one error didn't tip the balance into a massacre. Drones scouted blind spots, lit targets, even created distractions by drawing gunfire, while ground teams approached in patterns that gave hostages every chance of survival. The logic was precise. Win every inch of the fight without triggering a collapse inside the buildings where so many were trapped. So what made the fortress so uniquely dangerous? The answer was layered. The sheer weight of overwhelming weapons mounted on rolling armor, the human shields crammed inside warehouses, and the hairline distance separating the target from American neighborhoods. Altogether, it meant this wasn't just a convoy, it was a machine designed to defy conventional strikes. And that left only one lingering question. How could SEALs possibly break through a fortress built with both bullets and hostages without turning the entire battlefield into a bloodbath? This raid was never just about intercepting chemicals. It showed that the United States can strike with precision on its own doorstep, protecting innocent lives without relying on heavy bombardment or scorched earth tactics. It was proof that strategy, intelligence, and discipline can dismantle a billion-dollar operation without destroying everything around it. But will moves like this actually discourage future incursions? Or do cartels see each confrontation as a chance to test limits again and again? Let me know in the comments what you think. The border is not simply a boundary, it is a line defended with precision and resolve.